John was 68 years old when it happened. Just the night before, he had walked his dog, watched a little TV, and gone to bed like every other evening. Nothing felt unusual. He had followed his usual health routine, drank plenty of water, took his blood pressure pills, and even had his daily handful of nuts, something he'd been told was good for his heart. But the next morning, everything changed. His wife found him struggling to get up. His speech was slurred. One side of his face looked different. She called 911 immediately. The doctors at the ER said he had experienced a minor stroke, something that could have been much worse if they hadn't caught it early. Now, here's the strange part. John didn't smoke. He walked every day. He watched his salt. His cholesterol was fine. But something small and easily overlooked, had silently raised his stroke risk overnight. And that something was a kind of nut he had been eating every single day, thinking it was healthy. What's worse, many seniors are eating it too, thinking they're doing the right thing. In this video, I'm going to tell you exactly what happened to John, the common nut that most people believe is heart healthy, but may actually be raising your stroke risk, especially if you're over 60. And most importantly, I'll show you the safe, senior-friendly alternatives that can protect your blood vessels instead of silently damaging them. But be sure to stay until the end, because I'll also reveal the one type of nut that you must absolutely avoid if you're on blood pressure medication. This combination could increase your risk of stroke in just one night. If you or someone you love is over 60, don't miss this. And if you haven't already, take a second to subscribe, because every week we share practical, often overlooked health tips that could help you or someone you care about avoid serious mistakes. Many people never hear this kind of information in time. Don't be one of them. Now, let's begin with what life looked like for John before his stroke. Part 1. John's life before the stroke. John wasn't careless. In fact, he was doing everything he thought he should. He woke up at 6:30 every morning, went for a 20-minute walk around his neighborhood, ate a small but balanced breakfast, usually oatmeal, some fruit, and a handful of nuts, which he believed were helping his heart and cholesterol. He had been told by friends, by magazines, even by some online health videos, that nuts were one of the best snacks a senior could eat. So, John made it a daily habit. A small bowl of roasted mixed nuts, almonds, cashews, walnuts, and one kind in particular that he really liked, salted pistachios. He avoided fast food. He rarely drank. He kept his weight in check. He even had his blood pressure monitored regularly. There were no warning signs, no major pain, no shortness of breath, just small things he brushed off, like occasionally feeling a little lightheaded when standing up, or a slight pressure behind his eyes before going to bed, but nothing serious, nothing worth worrying about. And that's what made it so shocking. Because for someone who was doing everything right, John's stroke didn't make sense, not to him, not to his wife, and not to the doctors at first. But here's the truth that many people miss. Even when you think you're eating healthy, not all heart-healthy foods are safe for everyone, especially not for people over 60. In fact, some nuts, when combined with blood pressure issues, medications, or hidden sodium, can quietly increase stroke risk. And John was about to find that out the hard way. What's worse, no one warned him. He was doing what millions of older Americans do every day, thinking it's good for them. If you're watching this and you recognize these habits, eating mixed nuts, trusting the label heart healthy, skipping the sodium facts, then don't go anywhere. In the next part, I'll explain the most common myth about nuts and stroke that is putting seniors at risk, and how this tiny snack might be silently affecting your blood pressure while you sleep. But first, if you haven't subscribed yet, this is the time to do it. Because just one overlooked habit could be making your health worse. And if this video can prevent just one stroke, yours or someone you love, it will be worth it. Now, let's uncover the truth behind this dangerous myth. Part 2. The dangerous myth about heart-healthy nuts. We've all heard it. Nuts are good for your heart. And yes, on the surface, that's true. Nuts contain healthy fats, protein, fiber, and antioxidants. Studies have shown they can help lower cholesterol and reduce inflammation when eaten in moderation. But here's what no one tells you. Not all nuts are the same, and not all bodies handle them the same, especially not the aging body. See, many store-bought nuts, especially roasted, flavored, or salted varieties, come packed with hidden sodium. Some of them contain more salt in a single serving than an entire bag of chips. John's favorite, salted pistachios. A small handful seemed harmless, but he was unknowingly consuming over 300 milligrams of sodium just from his snack, and he was eating them right before bed. Why does that matter? Because overnight, your blood pressure naturally fluctuates. But when you consume high-sodium foods in the evening, it can cause your blood vessels to constrict, your blood to thicken, and your pressure to spike during sleep, all of which increase your risk of stroke in the early morning hours. And here's the kicker. As we age, our kidneys become less efficient at flushing out excess sodium, meaning what used to be safe at 40 becomes dangerous at 70. This is the part John, and so many others, never realized. They trust the heart-healthy label. They skip checking the fine print on the back of the bag. And worst of all, they believe it's just a small snack. It can't hurt. But it can. Especially if you're taking blood pressure meds, dealing with artery stiffness, or already have borderline hypertension. If you're over 60 and eating nuts regularly without checking for sodium, you could be doing more harm than good. And it's not just pistachios. Many mixed nut brands add extra salt, flavor coatings, and even preservatives that interact negatively with common medications. But don't worry, there's a better way. In the next part, we'll talk about what John discovered, and the small piece of advice that changed everything for him. So don't go anywhere, because the nut he had to stop eating, and the one he replaced it with, might surprise you. And if you've ever eaten a handful of nuts thinking you were doing the right thing, this could be one of the most important lessons you learn this year. Stay with me. You'll thank yourself later. Part 3. The Turning Point. One conversation that changed everything. John's recovery after the stroke was slow. He was frustrated, confused, and honestly afraid. Afraid it might happen again. He kept asking the doctors, "Why me? I did everything right." But all they could say was, "It happens." That didn't sit well with him. So one afternoon, during his cardiac rehab session, John struck up a conversation with another patient, a man named Robert, older, calmer, and strangely full of energy. Robert had suffered a stroke the year before, but he looked and moved like someone 10 years younger. When John asked him what he did differently, Robert gave him a simple answer. "I stopped eating the wrong kind of nuts." John laughed at first. He thought it was a joke, but Robert wasn't smiling. He told John that after his stroke, his daughter, who was a registered dietitian, went through every item in his kitchen, and when she found his stash of flavored, salted, mixed nuts, she said, "Dad, this is silent sabotage. These are pushing your blood pressure up while you sleep." She showed him how sodium, even in so-called healthy foods, builds up when the kidneys slow down with age, and she replaced them with a different kind of snack: raw, unsalted walnuts, and magnesium-rich seeds like pumpkin seeds and flax seeds, nutrient-dense, zero sodium, and loaded with compounds that actually help relax the blood vessels, improve blood flow, and lower inflammation. John couldn't believe it. He had never thought of his evening snack as a threat, let alone a trigger for stroke. Robert encouraged him to do just one thing: read the sodium label every time, no matter what. That small piece of advice stuck with John, and it would soon lead to a quiet but powerful shift in his daily life. If you're watching this and thinking, "I eat nuts too, but just a few," remember, John thought the same. And for him, it only took a handful too many, at the wrong time, for the wrong reason. In the next part, I'll walk you through exactly what John changed, the foods he replaced, and the measurable improvements he began to see in just a few weeks. But before we move on, take a second to like this video if you've learned something new so far. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do, because what we're about to cover next could help you avoid the same mistake John made, and maybe even reverse the damage that's already building up without your knowledge. Let's continue. Part 4. The Solution. What John changed, and how his body responded. John didn't wait long. That same evening, he opened his pantry and grabbed the jar of mixed nuts he'd been eating for months. The label read, "lightly salted," but under the fine print, it had 290 milligrams of sodium per serving, and he usually had 2 servings without realizing it. He threw it out. The next day, he went shopping with his wife. They brought a small notepad and a simple rule: no more than 50 milligrams of sodium per snack. No added flavors, no oils or preservatives. Here's what they brought home instead: raw, unsalted walnuts, rich in omega-3s, which help reduce arterial inflammation; pumpkin seeds, high in magnesium and potassium, both critical for muscle and nerve function; flax seeds, ground fresh, added to oatmeal for natural fiber and vascular support; a few Brazil nuts, eaten occasionally, as they contain selenium, a mineral linked to improved blood pressure regulation. But it wasn't just about cutting out sodium. John started tracking what he ate, drinking more water throughout the day, and moving his snack time earlier. No more eating salty foods before bed. And here's what happened. By week 2, he noticed less swelling in his ankles. He no longer felt that pressure behind his eyes before bed. His energy, especially in the morning, was steadier. By week 4, his doctor noticed something too. His average systolic blood pressure had dropped by 8 points, without changing his medication. John felt stronger, more confident, more in control, and maybe most importantly, he no longer felt helpless. He realized that even small, everyday choices, like what he snacks on, could either push him closer to another stroke or pull him away from it. If you're listening right now and you're thinking, "It's just nuts, it can't be that serious," remember, That's exactly what John thought, too. But for seniors, especially those with high blood pressure or those on medication, the wrong kind of snack can quietly undo everything else you're doing right. And the best part? You don't have to give up snacking. You just have to snack smarter. Coming up next, I'll share 3 simple rules you can follow starting today to snack safely, protect your heart, and lower your stroke risk, even if you already have high blood pressure or other conditions. And I'll also explain why one popular nut, often marketed as healthy, should be avoided entirely if you're on certain medications. So don't stop here. The most important part is next. And if you haven't hit subscribe yet, do it now, because next week's video will cover how your morning routine could be silently raising your blood pressure too. Let's continue. Part 5. The 3 smart snacking rules every senior should follow. After his recovery, John began sharing his story at his local senior center, and each time the question came up, so, what can I eat? What's actually safe? The truth is, you don't have to avoid nuts entirely, but you do need to follow a few simple rules, especially if you're over 60, managing high blood pressure, or taking daily medications. Here are the 3 rules John now lives by, and that you can follow too. Rule number 1, no salt, no flavors, no additives. If it has roasted, is flavored, is smoked, or lightly salted on the label, put it back. These added ingredients almost always come with hidden sodium, processed oils, and chemical preservatives. Even if the front of the package says heart healthy, the back tells a different story. Choose raw, unsalted, single-ingredient nuts only, and don't rely on lightly salted or low sodium. Those terms are marketing tricks. Always check the nutrition label. Rule number 2, portion matters more than you think. Even healthy nuts are calorie-dense and can impact your blood pressure and cholesterol if you overdo it. Stick to 1 small handful a day, about 1 ounce. That's all your body needs to benefit from the healthy fats without overwhelming your digestive or circulatory system. And avoid eating nuts late at night, especially if you're on blood pressure meds. Your body needs time to process sodium and fats before you go to sleep. Rule number 3, balance with blood pressure. Friendly nutrients. Pair your nuts with foods that help keep your arteries relaxed and your blood thin. Some great combinations. Walnuts with berries for antioxidants. Pumpkin seeds with avocado toast for potassium and magnesium. Flaxseed and oatmeal for fiber and blood sugar control. These combos do more than just taste good. They actively help lower stroke risk by supporting better circulation. Remember, the goal isn't to eat like a monk. The goal is to snack with awareness, to read labels, to plan ahead, to choose foods that give your body the support it needs, not the strain it dreads. If John had followed these rules earlier, he may have avoided his stroke entirely. But the good news is, he learned in time. And now, he's stronger than ever. In the final part of this video, I'll reveal the 1 nut you should never combine with blood pressure medication, and why this combination could quietly raise your stroke risk overnight. This last piece is critical, especially if you're taking any kind of ACE inhibitors, beta blockers, or calcium channel blockers. So stay with me. We're almost at the most important part. Part 6. The nut you must avoid if you take blood pressure meds. By now, John had replaced his snacks, lowered his sodium, and felt better than he had in years. But during a follow-up appointment, his doctor asked a critical question. "Are you still eating grapefruit or anything grapefruit related?" John shook his head no. Then the doctor added, "That includes grapefruit-flavored products and Brazil nuts. They don't mix well with certain medications." Wait, Brazil nuts? John was stunned. He had just added those back into his diet because they were high in selenium and recommended online. But here's the shocking truth. Brazil nuts contain extremely high levels of selenium. Just 1 or 2 can exceed your daily recommended intake. While selenium is essential in small amounts, too much of it can interfere with how certain blood pressure and heart medications are absorbed. Even worse, Brazil nuts are also high in natural oils and fats, which, in large or repeated doses, can slow the liver's ability to process medications, especially ACE inhibitors and beta blockers. For seniors already dealing with slowed metabolism, this combination can be dangerous. And that's not all. Some studies suggest that selenium overload may contribute to blood thickening, which combined with high blood pressure raises stroke risk significantly, particularly during sleep, when the body's detox process is at its lowest. So while Brazil nuts may seem like a healthy superfood snack, they are not safe for everyone, especially those on blood pressure medication or with a history of cardiovascular issues. That's why John removed them from his diet completely. And honestly, he didn't miss them. There were safer options that gave him all the benefits without the risk. A few raw almonds, chia seeds in yogurt or oatmeal, walnuts in smoothies or salads. None of these interfered with his medications. None of them spiked his sodium. And none of them put silent pressure on his heart overnight. If you're on blood pressure medication, or know someone who is, this is the kind of overlooked detail that can make all the difference. It's not about fear, it's about being informed. In the final part of this video, I'll wrap up with the 5 key lessons from John's journey, and what you can do today to start protecting yourself and the people you love from the same risk. If this has helped you, please subscribe. We're building a community where seniors can get the truth about health, without gimmicks, without confusion, and without being ignored. You deserve that. Let's finish strong. Part 7. 5 Lessons from John's story and what you should do next. John never expected a handful of nuts to change his life. But now, he's grateful. Not just because he recovered, but because he caught the problem in time to prevent something far worse. And, if you've watched this far, you now have the knowledge to do the same. Let's recap the 5 most important lessons from John's story. Even healthy foods can become dangerous if you don't check the label. Don't trust the front of the package. Flip it over. Look for sodium. Look for additives. Look for the hidden ingredients that could be quietly harming your heart. Your body changes after 60, and your diet needs to change too. What worked for you at 40 may no longer be safe. Be honest about what your body needs now, not what it used to tolerate. Some nuts, especially salted and flavored kinds, can silently raise your stroke risk. They constrict blood vessels, raise blood pressure, and interfere with overnight blood flow, all while you're asleep. If you take blood pressure medication, avoid Brazil nuts and grapefruit. They can interfere with how your medication works, increasing your risk without warning signs. You don't have to give up snacks, just choose them wisely. Raw walnuts, pumpkin seeds, ground flax, chia in yogurt. Simple, powerful choices that help your body rather than hurt it. Now, here's what you can do next. Take a few minutes today to check your pantry. Look at the snacks you eat before bed. Read those labels with fresh eyes. And if you see added salt, preservatives, or anything you can't pronounce, consider replacing them. Share this video with someone you love, your spouse, your parent, your neighbor, because chances are they've been told the same half-truths about heart-healthy snacks that John believed. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. We're not just building a channel. We're building a place where people over 60 can get real answers. Without hype, without confusion, without fear, just truth. Because missing one video could mean missing the one piece of advice that saves your life. This wasn't just John's story. It could be yours. And if you're ready to take control of your health, one small step at a time, then stay with us. The next video might be the most important one you see this year. Thanks for watching, and take care of yourself.